We're going to talk today about signs. But there's another element, isn't there? There's that inside spirit. You have to be the genuine, authentic person. Because you live an authentic, genuine life. And I'd feel it inside of me, bursting with excitement. Wisdom, not just for me, you've got it as well. Kia ora. If you're new here, remember to ring that bell, hit the like button, and drop me a comment. Let me know what you think. So what is a sign? What is a sign? Well, you know, if you're driving down the road and you're looking for some place that you want to visit, you look at the signs, you read those signs. And I think there's two types of signs we can look for. The first one tells us which direction to go in. We get to a junction, we look at the sign, do we go left, do we go right, should we go straight on? So we need those kind of signs. Once we've got past a junction and we're moving forward, we need a slightly different kind of sign. We need a sign that says to us, we're still on the right road. Because I don't know about you, but I know from my own point of view, when I'm driving and I don't see a sign for a long time and I'm on a straight road, I start doubting myself and I think, am I still going the right direction? And suddenly up pops the sign and you suddenly feel that reassurance. So two types of signs. Those are not quite the signs that we're interested in, but the signs we want do the same kind of things. So how do we recognize those signs? That's a tricky business, I think, because I think the signs are different for each of us. So the signs that I had in my life and that I continue to see will be different to the signs that you have. But let me give you some examples of the signs I've seen in my life that helped me to shape my own journey, that led me in my direction. And maybe that will help to illustrate and help us to understand how we can recognize those signs for ourselves. The first thing I want to say, though, I think, is that very early on in my life, I already had a major sign there. There was a huge sign and it just flashed at me all the time. Every time I needed to go somewhere, to sit and think and process, I went to the beach. And that beach became my place. And water has always held a deep meaning for me. It's always drawn me. Fundamentally, I think, that was my first sign, but I didn't see it for that. I didn't recognize it as a sign or as a direction in which I should focus my life, or it didn't have meaning in that way to me. But fundamentally, I always go to the beach. So that must be an area in which I should have moved my life. Again, here's something else that happened. Here's another major sign that happened for me. I was all suited up, and if you've seen my other video, you'll know that I used to work in the corporate world. And so I was coming back from a business trip one time, and I flew into Heathrow Airport. And the taxi driver that picked me up was a guy that I used to work with on the factory production line when I first started work, when I made my bad decision, my poor choice. And on the journey back home again, we were talking because we were catching up with each other about where we've been and what we were up to. And he said to me that he was a scuba diver in Thailand and he was just in the off season. So he was back in England driving a taxi during the monsoon season in Thailand. And that just sent flashes and bells ringing for me. And I remember just noting that down. Not physically, but mentally, I just stored that away as a piece of information. And that was a sign. That was a significant sign. Another one, when I went on a trip to South Africa, I had to go to Johannesburg for a work project. And I went out with a colleague hiking. We went through through a nature reserve, and we hiked and we camped out on the trail. And that feeling that I had from doing that and that experience, there was another sign. It told me something about what I like to do and how I was connected. So that was another signpost for me. I lived in Budapest, and a colleague of mine who became a friend we used to go and meet up on a Saturday and have lunch together. And she would talk about her experience of backpacking before she started work. And she went, I think she was in Australia, and I think she was in Thailand before. And that kept drawing me, and the travel idea kept pulling at me. And so that was a sign. It was clearly a sign. And then I think the last one I give to you is when I read The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. Absolutely, that was the sign. That was the point. That was the trigger, if you like, that I had all these other things that I'd been storing away. And when I read The Alchemist, it brought it all together for me. And it said that I needed to move on with my life, that this period of my life was over or coming to an end, and I'd reached the point where I wanted to move on, and I had a new direction to go in. But I didn't know what it was yet until my partner at the time said to me, so this would be about 2 years after I read The Alchemist, a partner of mine said to me that she was interested in going backpacking to Southeast Asia. And that was it. That was the sign. And so that was the moment that I knew. I just knew that I had to do that. And so I quit the job, and we went off backpacking. And that was the beginning of my true journey. So those are signposts that I could recognize in my life. So for me, those were fundamental things that happened. And the way I think about those and how I felt at the time, how I knew they were signs and that had meaning, was that I felt it inside. I felt it deeply. I felt like a resonance, as if those ideas synced with my inner self. I probably couldn't have expressed it in that way at the time because I didn't fully understand what was happening. But I knew that just intrinsically, inside, in here, I just knew that was the direction. It meshed with my inner self, with my true light. And so that's what I recognized. And I think that would be the same for everybody. I think that would hold true for everyone. Maybe not the same things, because what we like and dislike are obviously different, but that feeling, something, you see something, you hear something, and it resonates with you inside. And I think that's how you recognize the signs. So you've seen that sign, you've recognized it, you've had a good feeling, things have come together at that moment for you. So how do you know if it's a good direction to go in? How do you know the sign is telling you to go in the right way for you? Why would that be a wrong way? So you want to just turn that around. But why would that be a wrong way for you? Ask yourself that question. If you see the sign and it makes you feel really good inside, and it lights you up inside, and it unleashes that feeling, and it meshes and it harmonizes, and everything goes in sync for you, how could that be wrong? I don't think it can be. I honestly don't. My experience, which isn't that amazing or big, but all these decisions I've made that have led me on my own journey to do all the things I've done, I don't have a single regret about following those signs. As soon as I recognise something and it feels right, I move my life in that direction. It's never wrong. Even if something goes wrong, moving in that direction has never been wrong. There's a difference there. Do you get that? And the reason for that is that by moving your life forward, you are opening up other opportunities. You're meeting different people. You might be going to different places. You're having new experiences. And all of that broadens you. You learn and you're growing. And that's what it's about. And you might move your life in that direction and something goes wrong. But that doesn't mean it was the wrong direction. It just means you got to fix it. Like you take the track and your car blows a puncture. It doesn't mean the track was wrong. It just means you got to fix the problem, and so you can move on again. You just got to do something slightly differently. Every time you have that feeling, you think about something, and you have that feeling, that good feeling, and it resonates with you, that's the direction. And it will always be the right direction for you, as long as it comes from you. It cannot come from someone else. No one else knows what is your direction. No one does. Only you. It's yours. People can give you advice. People might think they know what's best for you, but they don't. They only know what's best for them. And because they only know what's best for them is that you don't change, or that they want you to stay safe because they love you. And so they have this fear of what might happen to you. But whatever you do, it won't be wrong, because you will have tried to move your life in the right direction. Even if things catastrophically go wrong, you would have tried. And I can tell you this much. By trying to go in the right direction, and from failing, because not everything I've done has worked out, I've had a lot of failures too, I've grown and I feel good about it. I've taken ownership of my decisions, and I've tried to move my life in a certain way. And so that can only be right. Even if it goes wrong, the fact that I tried means that I won't end my life with any regret, with any sense of regret. So, is it a right direction? As long as it resonates with you and it feels right for you, it's the right direction for you. Right, so you've seen the signs, things have resonated, and now you know it's a good direction to move in. So how do you move there? How do you take that sign and move forward in that direction? I think the first thing that's going to happen, once you know that sign and you've seen it, you will subconsciously begin to move in that direction. You won't be able to forget it. It's going to sit there somewhere within you, and everything that you do, whether you know it or not, will move you in that direction. Again, I'm talking from my own experience of that happening, and I can't explain why that happened, but it did. I had a direction I wanted to move my life in, and everything sort of happened to move me in that way, because I made that happen. It wasn't all luck and chance and circumstance. I was doing things subconsciously. I was always doing things to make it happen. So those little decisions within the main decision, they were all leading me there all the time. So that's the first thing that's going to happen. Subconsciously, you will begin to move in the right direction for you. Second thing that's going to happen, subconsciously you're on your way. And as soon as you're on your way, more opportunities to move in that direction are going to come your way too. It's like it's the effect, law of inertia, if you like. Once you start an object moving, it will keep moving in that direction. Like a snowball effect. Starts off small, push it down the hill, and it grows and grows and grows. Same thing's going to happen for you. You start moving that direction, you're going to gather momentum in that direction, because everything will start to go that way for you. I think that's the best way I can explain that. Thirdly, if you are clear about where you want to go and you know what it is you want to do, then you have to take those steps to get there, whatever they may be. And I'm not saying that's easy, because it isn't. There are hard decisions to be made. There's a cost that you'll have to pay. I'm going to make another video on that, I think, because that's an interesting concept. The cost of the decision. So yeah, I'll come back to that. But there is a price to pay. So you have to decide that that's where you're going. You know it's the right way. You're going there subconsciously. And so you take the steps. So for me, as an example, when my partner said she wanted to go backpacking, I found myself quitting my job and selling more or less everything that I owned up to that point. All my furniture, just getting rid of things, clearing out. There were steps to free myself so I could do the next part of my journey. I didn't know where that was going to lead me, but it was something I wanted to do. So I took those steps. I quit my job. I sold my things. There were fundamental things I had to do to allow me to move forward. You have to do similar things. Not, you don't have to sell everything, because that might not be your thing, your journey. But you've got to find a way to move towards it. So let's say that you want to write a book. Write the book. Start writing. Find the time to do the thing you want to do. Make it happen. And again, here's the cost thing coming back again. If you want to become an artist, you want to become a singer, you want to write a book, you want to go traveling, whatever it is you want to do, you've got to make the time to make that happen. You've got to put in the work. So turn off the TV. Turn off the music, or whatever it is you do. Free some time up somehow to give yourself the time to do the thing you want to do. Stop putting things off. That's a major step you can take. Just get on the journey. Because the moment you start the journey, I'm telling you, that inertia thing's going to kick in. And you're going to, once you start, mind blown, because you just start falling into it. Everything starts to consume you around it because you're on the way. It's no longer a dream at that point. It's becoming your reality. And that's key. You take that thing that you thought of, that you dreamed of, maybe as a little kid, maybe later on in your life it came to you, but it's always been this dream that one day I'll do this, or in the future I'll go and do that. You, if you take that first step, are in that dream. You're living the moment. And as soon as you start to live your moment, everything takes off. Everything changes. It's no longer that dream, it's your reality. You are living the dream. As cliche as that sounds, that's exactly what you're doing. Living your dream. How amazing is that? And that's why, even if, which it probably won't be, but if it was a catastrophe, things went bad and wrong for you, whatever happens, you were still living your dream. You dared to take the chance. And for that, you will always be grateful. You will never lose that. Here we go. There's my Finding Your Light Within book. And that character by the side of the book is Maya. She's the character in my picture book that I've written for children. When I started to write about Maya, I absolutely was consumed by it. It took over because it was the right thing for me to do. I started to draw. I couldn't draw before. I mean, I could draw, but you wouldn't want to look at those, right? They were terrible. But the more that I was involved with writing the story and wanting to illustrate it, the more time I spent on it, the better I got. I'm not saying I'm brilliant at drawing, but it was good enough for me to feel a deep sense of satisfaction and a sense of achievement because I was moving in the direction. So signs show you the way to go. It's up to you to find your way there, to see them, heed them, move in that way. It's your journey, it's your life. You're the only one who ever has to answer for it. Make it the best you can. Until the next time. Hey, thanks for watching. Remember to subscribe up here somewhere and check out these other videos that YouTube recommends for you.